Julia is from National Cancer Institute at NIH, but she is also very much connected with Indian systems of knowledge. And I'm very glad she has joined from US.
Welcome, welcome. I welcome Dr. V. Prakash sir also. He has also joined. Yeah, good afternoon, Dr. Prakash. So you are on mute.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon. Namaskar, 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 Dr. Vaidya, Dr. Rama Vaidya, Nutan, and all others.
Good afternoon.
Aditi, and the whole family of K.
Now that we have still 2 more minutes, can everybody be video on, please, so that we can take one picture? Please, everybody. Anu,
Yeah,
Dr.
Dr.
Gitanjali is there, of course. Yeah.
Hi,
Ruda,
Bhaskar sir, how are you? Nice to see you.
Dr.
Nice to
Rajeshpal,
see you,
please.
Bhaskar sir.
Nice to see you also.
Dr. Kotecha sir, please, video on. Can we have your, so that we can take one picture? Yes, and Julia.
Namaste,
Yes,
Ashok bhai.
yeah, sir has come. So I hope somebody is taking pictures, please.
Subodha.
Yes, yes.
Jai Shri Krishna.
Jai Shri Krishna.
Yeah, I'm taking picture. Someone else also help me. Yeah. Now we all are there. Please take a picture. Siddesh, I can see you. I hope you are taking. And Varda. Mangalam, yes. How are you, Varda? Aditi, you also
Ah,
take
Varda is
pictures.
there.
Yeah. I'm good.
Aditi.
Yeah. Great. Sabarnini also, I can see her. Yeah, great. Dr. Sumit Goel may be here. Why don't you show your face also?
Rama, your face is in half only.
Is it? No, now? We
Oh,
can
no,
see
now
her.
it is fine.
Okay. Is it better?
Yes.
Okay. Fine. We are touching the time now. Yes.
Can we start?
Yeah.
Sure.
Namaskar. Myself, Dr. Beena Joshi, on behalf of Professor P.K. Devi Oration Committee, wish a very good evening to all those who have logged in for today's event. Professor P.K. Devi Oration. This event is organized every year jointly by Indian Council of Medical Research, National Institute for Research in Reproductive and Child Health, and Kasturba Health Society Medical Research Center based in Mumbai. Several esteemed personalities have graced this oration, and the trend continues as we hold this 30th oration today. We dedicate today's public academic event to India's celebration of 75 years of independence. Both orator and chief guest for today's function are Padma Shri awardees. And the theme of today's oration also justifies it as it showcases the strength of India's traditional system of medicine. We are live streaming this event today through our social media handle and also YouTube. I now request Dr. Gitanjali Sachdeva, Director, National Institute for Research in Reproductive and Child Health, to welcome all guests, Professor P.K. Devi's friends and relatives, and learned audience attending today's oration. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you, Beena. Very good afternoon. On behalf of the National Institute for Research in Reproductive and Child Health and Medical Research Center, Kasturba Hill Society. It's my pleasure to welcome you all to the 30th Professor P.K. Devi Oration Award Ceremony. I believe some family members, especially her son and daughter-in-law, as well as many associates and students of Professor P.K. Devi have joined this event. So a very warm welcome to you all. We are really honored to have with us today Padma Shri Dr. Rajesh Kotecha, Secretary, Ministry of Ayush, Government of India, who has very graciously accepted our invitation to deliver this year's Professor P.K. Devi Oration. Many of you are aware of the contribution made by late Professor P.K. Devi in the field of obstet and gynecology. In addition, she had a deep interest in Ayurveda, and this made her contribute to several projects related to Indian medicinal plants. I think today's oration by Dr. Kotecha sir, who is the man behind National Ayush Mission and is also actively engaged in promoting Ayush principle in India, the oration by him would be the best tribute to Professor P.K. Devi and her legacy. Also, I extend a very warm welcome to today's chief guest, Padma Shri Dr. V. Mohan, who is well known for his unparalleled and inspiring contribution to the field of diabetes. Thank you, sir, for accepting our invitation to grace today's ceremony with your presence. Now, coming to our co-host, it has been a great pleasure to co-host this event with Medical Research Center, Kasturba Hill Society. Both our institute as well as MRC KHS, they share a common vision, that is to promote science through research, education, and service. KHC is also striving towards the integration of Ayurveda and biomedical sciences. MRC KHS is our active and very important partner in our programs on creating awareness on polycystic ovarian syndrome, a growing epidemic among women in the reproductive age group. Together, we are developing guidelines and algorithms for multidisciplinary management of PCOS for its potential uptake by the Indian healthcare system. Towards this, we have had several inter-system dialogues with experts in alternate Indian systems like Ayurveda, homeopathy, yoga, and Siddhi. And we believe that these India-specific guidelines on PCOS would be more effective in managing this growing epidemic of PCOS in our women. So while speaking about this Ayurveda-related programs at our institute, we recently completed a research program which was undertaken in collaboration with the Directorate of Ayush. This program was initiated to address and sensitize our community about menopause-induced osteoporosis, and our findings suggest that short-term treatment using some of these Ayurvedic drugs like Ghanavati, Laksh Google, they provide symptomatic relief in a subgroup of women with osteoporosis. Another interesting finding which we have is that Vatta Pradhan and Pitta Pradhan Prakriti, they had a significant association with osteoporosis. And very recently, we have initiated some studies in collaboration with RARI Pune to understand interaction of novel herbal drugs with cytochrome P450 proteins, which are very important in metabolizing various drugs. And this we are doing using a high throughput screen assays. So we thank Ayush for supporting these studies. And before I hand over to Dr. Rama Vaidya ma'am, I would just say that today's afternoon or evening, you may say, is going to be a very bright one as we have two luminaries or leading lights with us who are role models, and we are all set to get enlightened by their wisdom and also to get inspired by their achievements. So with this, I again welcome you all and thank you for your presence today.
Thank you, Dr. Geetanjali. I now invite Dr. Rama Vaidya, who is Secretary Research Advisory Committee of Kasturba Health Society Medical Research Center, to give us a brief overview of Professor P.K. Devi, who was a legendary figure She was very closely associated with her, and in fact, this oration is her brainchild.
Yeah, I'm trying to see that things. Yeah. Thank you, Dr. Gitanjali, and thanks, Dr. Beena. Can you share my slides from there? Is Beena going to do
Yes,
that?
ma'am.
Yeah, that will be nice. And while we are doing that, at the outset, I would like to thank both Dr. Rajesh Bhai Kotisha ji and Dr. V. Mohan for accepting our invitation from both the institutes, ICMR's NIRCH and Kasturba Health Society's Medical Research Center. I'll go straight to my talk. And thanks, Dr. Gitanjali, to give me and asking me to talk on Professor P.K. Devi, a legend. Truly, as I can see in the next slide, I would like to tell you about her, that she was the most popular, very, very popular teacher. And as Khalil Gibran has said, that the teacher who is indeed wise does not bid you to enter the house, and I'll say her wisdom, but rather leads you to the threshold of your mind. And that's the way she was. As can be seen in the next slide, there are many attributes and achievements which are unique qualities of Professor P.K. Devi. And she was appointed as an administrative head at IRR of ICMR then in 1974. And I had just joined there as a senior research officer in charge of, and joined the contraceptive testing unit. And my association with her was very short, but in that I was very impressed because the qualities that she had, was a great administrator, very popular teacher, charismatic but an effective leader, multitasking, very punctual, courageous and energetic. That would be infectious almost, and great successful team builder across disciplines and systems. And that she did within the Institute of Research and Reproduction and without, and that is in the city of Mumbai, in Maharashtra, in Gujarat, and also reached out to WHO. Effectively facilitate national and international research projects. We had worked at that time very, very multidisciplinary work on Sancroman, WHO's prostaglandins in PPH, medicinal plant-based contraceptives and anti-menorrhagia plants. And after her retirement, she had joined industry. May I have the next, please? But my association with IRR had started long back when Dr. Shanta Rao had visited Ashok and me when we were at Yale University. Then only she had told me that on your return, you are going to be with us. I didn't know at that time because I didn't want to work. I was about to give birth to Vidita, Professor Vidita Vaidya, who's a great neuroscientist today, well known. And I thought I don't want to work. She came home and said, no, whenever you are ready, the institute is ready to help you. And when Professor Devi came, she was a great cementing force within IRR, beyond its physical walls. And together, these two women, that is Professor P.K. Devi and Dr. Shanta Rao, they laid a strong foundation for IRR to flower into NIRRH. And now it is metamorphosed into NRICH today. And all these arrows that I have shown here, Dr. Jayashree Joshi was a student of Professor P.K. Devi from Nagpur Medical College days. And Dr. Usha Joshi, the one in a green sari that you see here, internationally well-known steroid biochemist. It was pleasure working with her, me as a clinical scientist and she as a steroid biochemist. One day I requested Dr. Jayashree Joshi in my office. By that time, I was given the division of endocrinology and infertility. That also I must tell you, but both Dr. Shanta Rao and Professor P.K. Devi told me that within 24 hours, I want a blueprint of a new division. Well, that was a task. But in my division, in my room, I requested Dr. Jayashree Joshi, who was a part of the contraceptive testing unit, that join Usha and do your PhD, and fantastic work that she had done. Here also you see Dr. Smita Male, whom we just now met. So number of them, and now this cementing force of these two must be such that we keep meeting every year as an alumni of IRR. Next, please. Veena, next slide, please. Yeah. So my entry in research in Ayurveda was really faltering steps. In spite of that, I had really appreciated when Dr. Vaidya was writing his thesis for MD. He was writing on Bhrugu Samhita, medical aspects, and no wonder that it got rejected. It still is one of very good, and Dr. Rajesh Kotechaji, I would like one day that we all read it together. I would invite even Dr. V. Mohan to do that. It's fantastic. And anyway, Professor P.K. Devi took to that. They started talking to each other and went into great details. And there, Professor Ashok Vaidya requested her to go to Dr. Antarkaji at Podar, where she took me for the work on menorrhagia, where Nagkeshar, we wanted to see how it is effective in menorrhagia. But my steps being faltering steps, I was not ready to, should I say that I would not be, I was captive in the custody of my peer group. Who would tell me what? So if I create human pharmacological models, that would be justified. And I tried to see that chlorpromazine-induced hyperprolactinemia. In that human pharmacological model, we found that seeds powder of Mucuna pruriens was as effective as L-DOPA to lower the prolactin levels. And also for Nagkesar, what we did, that is Mesoaphera, what we did was that we created a human pharmacological model in estrogen deficient women. Cervical mucus will be produced when we gave estrogen. We would, in estrogen primed cervical glands, we gave progestrogens and it was inhibited. The mucus became thick. We tried to find out whether Mesoaphera would do the same, but Nagkesar treatment failed to change the estrogenic mucus. And as I was talking to you the other day, Dr. Kotecha, yes, that was the wrong way to do. But then I thought that I was a scientist. I need to prove something, and we went by mechanism. Rather than that, and that is the genesis of Prof. V.K. Devi Oration. Next slide shows. By this time I had learned, next slide, that really you should look to the patient-based outcome measures. And that's what I did. Now, talking about the genesis, one day, Professor Devi called me. She was a little disappointed that I had left IRR. But then she said, will you come to meet me? I'm going to be with Dr. Usha Joshi. I went there. She was taking a plane that day and she wanted me to drop her at the airport. At the airport, as she was taking out the luggage, she said, and she will carry herself, no matter what. I said, nothing doing. Vidita is with us. And I was driving. So Vidita took her bag and it suddenly happened to me. And I said, Professor Devi, I will not let you down. That day onwards, I think that the journey has been, today is the 30th Professor P.K. Devi Oration. And I would like to know that many scientists would have the same courage to cross disciplines, to be part of the other disciplines dialogues, and we'll talk to this little later. I'm not going to talk everything about what we then did on the Sarakasuka. We did find that there were spin-offs also. It was helpful in premenstrual tension syndrome, which Professor Emeritus Dr. Jayashree Joshi has also worked on that. Next slide shows. Next slide. That so translational research and integrative medicine would require quite a lot of things to be done. Some of the things that Dr. Gitanjali has already mentioned that they've been doing. And so what you can see here, one night I was drawing a picture and Ashok came in, and that was middle of the night, 3 o'clock. We both created this model. The model is that of conventional medicine, Ayurveda, either co-located physically together or a little bit away. But what it can be done? The conventional medicine color can go to Ayurveda, Ayurveda color can go to the conventional medicine. And in between would be the life science labs and epidemiology and biostatistics. We have tried to see that already Dr. Gitanjali talked about our work in PCOS. We are working absolutely in close collaboration with Dr. Beena Joshi and Dr. Anushri Patil at ICMR's and IRCH. And also we have created Abhiyan PCOS because alone this which is the not only a public health issue, PCOS, but it is the mother of all metabolic disorders. And Dr. V. Mohan knows this very well. I'm pretty sure about PCOS. So we have made our attempts there. We are also seeing that the life science labs and the epidemiology and biostatistics, our Dean, Dr. Nutan Nabar, has collaborated with Dr. Manikam. Manikam is actually, Dr. V. Mohan, I would like to tell you, he is a Siddha MD in Siddha medicine, and he is also MPH and a very senior colleague of ours at the ICMR's National Institute for Epidemiology. And we have tried to work, and Dr. Vaidya has been guiding us for trans-system epidemiology. And we congratulate Dr. Nutan Nabar. She just finished her PhD and got PhD in Ayurvedic pharmacoepidemiology in diabetes mellitus. Also, we have collaborated with Indian Institute of Science and TIFR. Here you can see Dr. Vaidya and Vidita working together in their lab. And you can see Naukan Bhatt, who has already, we have approached Ayush for trying to see that lab on palm becomes a successful venture with these three. That means there is also an industry there. There is also government there, our NGO institute, and Ayush. So we are looking forward to that. So need for a broad-based team with triple competence for integrative medicine is required. Translational research depends on the observational therapeutics, how much we can harness from those observations. Ayurvedic pharmacoepidemiology can assist bilateral exchange and sharing of knowledge, experience, and skills as a self-driven educational platform. Everybody will not like that, but some can get really stimulated and can do wonders. The next slide shows. And so we try to do intersystem dialogues, which is a prerequisite to integrative healthcare. And we have done with 5 systems, along with, if we are a pluralistic system of medicine, the conventional medicine is just one of those 6. And nobody dominates, but everybody cooperates, hopefully. And then we have done it with the Ayurveda, homeopathy, also with Siddha, yoga and naturopathy, and with Unani system of medicine. At many places, their Director General of that system of medicine has come and given us also insight in what they are doing. And Vanita Suri from PGI, Chandigarh, has written an article. She is from community medicine and professor of community medicine, writes that 68% of women with PCOS were connecting with all systems of medicine and equally disappointed. Sorry, next slide, please, the last one. So research prospers by collaboration. Group genius is ultimately the genius of all humanity. Our success in solving most critical problems depends on our ability to tap into the creative power of collaboration. And with these words, thanks for your patient listening. Thanks, Beena, for sharing the slides.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. That was indeed very inspiring to hear your experiences with Dr. P.K. Devi. And seriously, you have not let her down and you have showcased how you have moved on. Now I request Dr. Anushri Patil, a scientist at ICMR and IRRCH, to introduce the chief guest for today's function, Dr. V. Mohan, sir.
Thank you, madam. Respected dignitaries, seniors, colleagues, and friends. It is indeed an honor for us to have Padma Shri Dr. V. Mohan as the chief guest for this prestigious oration. Dr. Mohan sir needs no introduction. Dr. V. Mohan is the chairman and chief of diabetology at Dr. Mohan's Diabetes Specialty Center at Chennai in South India, which is an International Diabetes Federation Center of Excellence in Diabetes Care. Dr. Mohan has a national presence and he oversees a chain of 50 diabetes centers across 8 states of India and has over 5,40,000 registered diabetes patients in his centers. Sir is also president and director of the Madras Diabetes Research Foundation, which is Asia's largest standalone diabetes research center. Deeply interested in research from his undergraduate medical student days, Dr. Mohan has published more than 1,400 papers in peer-reviewed journals. Dr. Mohan was ranked among top 2% of scientists in the world by the Stanford University. He is also among the top 0.1% of researchers in type 2 diabetes by ExpertScape of PubMed. Dr. Mohan has trained a large number of physicians and diabetologists in addition to nurses and educators. He has received over 200 awards, including the prestigious Dr. B.C. Roy National Award by the Medical Council of India and the Dr. B.R. Ambedkar Centenary Award, which is the highest award for biomedical research given by the Indian Council of Medical Research. He was conferred the Dr. Harold Rifkin Distinguished International Service in the Cause of Diabetes Award by the American Diabetes Association, and he is the first Indian to receive this award. He has also been conferred the FRS from the Royal Society of Edinburgh. For his extensive contribution in the field of diabetes, in 2012, Dr. Mohan was awarded Padma Shri by the Government of India. Dr. Mohan's autobiography, Making Excellence a Habit, The Secret to Building a World-Class Healthcare System in India, was published by Penguin India and is one of the best sellers. Thank you, sir, for gracing this occasion, and we invite you to deliver your address to this August gathering.
Thank you very much, Dr. Anushree Patel, for that wonderful introduction and very kind introduction and the kind words. Dr. Geetanjali Sachdeva, my senior colleague and respected Dr. Ashok Vaidya, great honor to meet him after many years. Dr. Rama Vaidya, who has been very kind to invite me for this function and to repeatedly call me and to remind me. Thank you, Dr. Rama. I really enjoyed that presentation and look forward to hearing more about your work in due course. I do hope that this will be the start of a major collaboration between our two institutes. Dr. Smita Mahale, Dr. Beena Joshi, Dr. Jayashree Joshi, Dr. Shubhada Agashe, Dr. Ashwin Raut, Dr. Shobha Udupi, the orator of the day, the hero of today, whom we are all waiting to hear, Dr. Rajesh Koteja ji, family members, colleagues, and friends of Professor P.K. Devi. I have not had the opportunity or the privilege of meeting her, but I have, of course, heard her name and the great work that she's done, not only from Dr. Ashok Vaidya and Dr. Rama Vaidya, but from several others. She is a legend in her own field, and therefore I didn't expect that one day I would be a chief guest at the oration to be delivered by Professor Dr. Rajesh Koteja. Thank you, everyone, for inviting me to be present here today. For many years, I've had a very close association with Dr. Ashok Vaidya and Dr. Rama Vaidya. In fact, I visited Mumbai several times. We have tried to bring together scientists from the modern medicines of system and the Ayush systems. And I remember those meetings in Mumbai that we had, Dr. Ashok Vaidya and Dr. Rama Vaidya. And I think the time has come again for such a serious and more concerted effort. And I'll talk about that very briefly today, because I'm saying this from the core of my heart and not because the orator is from the Ayush department or because this oration also involves the person who was deeply interested in Ayurveda, but because I think as I grow older, I'm realizing the need for integrated medicine. We've already heard about integrated medicine in several of Dr. Rama Vaidya's slides. And I had just sent a few weeks ago, without even knowing that such a meeting is going to take place, I had written a white paper and had sent it to Dr. Vinod Paul and asked him to submit it to the Honorable Prime Minister, where I think 4 or 5 people were asked to contribute, and I was one of them. And one of the pleas that I made was to please include Ayurveda in modern medicine. I think India, the time has come when we should study Ayurveda as a subject, just as we study anatomy or physiology and so on. We should study Ayurveda, and in fact, the entire Ayush systems. I'm a great believer in yoga myself. Even if I miss my walk every day, I never miss a single 365 days. Even if I'm ill, I still do my yoga and pranayama. And I know how valuable it is. But apart from that, I think the whole system of medicine, as we are being taught today, modern medicine is great. I mean, after publishing 1,400 papers, I can't tell you that modern medicine is not good. That would be a lie. The wonders, the marvels of modern medicine have come to fore even during the COVID-19, how quickly a vaccine was brought out, how quickly the third wave now is almost petering out to become like a common cold because we have all been vaccinated. These are all true stories, true marvels of modern medicine. And I stand in great awe and inspiration of all those who have achieved to do this. Having said that, we are now getting divided, fragmented into small compartments, super specialties, super specialties, such that medicine is losing its meaning. And I'll tell you a story, a true story which happened, which will tell you why, if we don't adopt a holistic approach, integrated approach, we can completely miss the bus. A few years ago, I had a patient who came to me, an elderly lady who walked in, and I can't forget her when she walked in because she's carrying 2 bottles of water. So initially I thought maybe she's a little psychiatric because she walked in with 2 big bottles, about 1.5 liter bottles she walks in. And so the first thing I asked her was, anything wrong? She said, no, I'm so thirsty, she said. So I said, oh, you need to carry 2 bottles with you? Because both her hands were, she's carrying the bottles. And she said, yeah, you don't know how much thirst I have. So I said, okay. So I took her blood sugar and it was near 700. So I said, oh my God, that's why you're so thirsty. And then I admitted her in hospital, gave her tablets, gave her insulin, gave her everything, and the sugar would not come down below 500 or 600. She was becoming a little better clinically, but the sugar simply would not come down. After about 5-6 days in hospital, something struck me as being very strange. And I told her, I just don't know what's wrong with you, because whatever insulin I give you, it's like, like water. Nothing is happening to you. I've changed the bottle, changed everything, changed the syringe, but nothing is working. I gave you all the tablets I have in the world and nothing is working for me. So something is wrong. Anyway, you're looking a little better now. So you go back, you're not drinking that much water now. So you go home and come back. So after about a month, she came back and the blood sugars had started falling quite considerably. And I had started reducing, she was taking a huge dose of insulin. So I had to reduce the dose of insulin, slowly withdrew it. And within 2 months, she was off insulin. Within 4 months, she was off all tablets. She's completely off everything. And her blood sugar was 80, 85, 90. And she told me, I'm eating 8 bars of chocolate in a day. I said, why are you eating 8 bars of chocolate in a day? Because my sugars are going low, doctor. I don't have any sugar. I've stopped all medicines. I have no diabetes at all. So somebody saw these reports and they said the entire reports were wrong, that she never had diabetes, she never had 600, she never had 700. I said, come on, you're telling me I was the one who was treating her. She was in hospital for a week. And what happened to all the insulin I gave? She would have died if she didn't have sugar. Then I sat her down and I said, can you please tell me what's going on? I mean, I just can't understand what's going on. I can't understand you at all. And then she gave me a wry smile, and she said, doc, there are certain things we don't tell you, doc, as patients. So I said, what is wrong? She said, at the time when I came to you, my husband was having an affair with another lady. And that was what was in my mind. I couldn't sleep, and then this affair was going on. And he had even told me he's going to leave me. and my sugars had shot up to 600, 700. I said, what happened now? She said, oh, that lady got transferred to Calcutta. And then my husband now completely forgot about her and he's come back to me. I said, oh my God, I would never in my wildest of imagination thought that an affair could have led to this kind of a thing. And I would have just said, I'd be giving you more insulin, more tablets, more this thing, not asking you a simple question. Is everything okay on the home front? Is everything all right? Are you sleeping well? Is there any problem? Do you have any domestic problem? Do you have any job related problem? Do you have anything? I didn't even ask those questions because, you know, the list of things that we have to ask, how long do you have diabetes? Is it this thing? Are you on insulin? Are you on tablets? How long? That's all we have. We have a structured thing to go and we don't think outside the box. And that is where I think modern medicine, with all its advantages, still tends to lose out because we often don't ask personal histories like the Ayush people do. They go, they feel the pulse, they feel, are you all right? Are you eating okay? Are you sleeping fine? Are you doing this? How many of us even ask about sleep? We don't even ask about sleep. We don't ask about exercise. We don't even ask about what people eat. We don't have time. We see the sugar and then increase one more tablet and then send them. Another case I had like this was another patient whose sugars were simply not coming down. Somebody was beautifully controlled. And then I kept this time a little more wise and I kept asking him, is everything all right? Is there any change? And he said, yeah, I work for the State Bank and I have been transferred, 300 kilometers away. So I said, so what happened? Why did your sugar go out? My house, I'm eating now, the hotel food. I don't have my family with me. My daughter's got a 12th standard exam coming up. I'm stressed about that. I'm not sleeping. Well, that was the reason why his sugars went up, not anything else. Everything else he was doing fine. So small things like this, which make a big difference, I think is where integration of medicine, holistic medicine comes in. And I think a lot of research has to go into this. We have to study the mind-body interaction. We have to study the placebo effect much better. Just giving a placebo works to people. How does that work? There's a lot of research behind placebo effect, which can be used positively. In fact, I have a chapter in my book on the placebo effect. What about the spiritual side of medicine? The spiritual side of medicine is extremely important. Telling somebody to be positive and saying nothing is going to happen to you. A doctor just patting somebody on the back saying nothing is going to happen to you will probably work better than any medicine. But this is where we fail.
सकाळी टाकतो म्हणजे 1ला होईल का तो?
Okay, somebody is cross-talking. Okay, so these are the things which I think are very, very important, and I think where we can all play a big role by coming together. And I would appeal to Dr. Rajesh Kotechaji that we should take up such projects which are unique to our country. I think it's fundable. We can do mechanistic studies on this. We can do the science behind this, study what happens to the hormones. What, for example, happened to that lady? Why did her sugars not come down? What was it in her brain which is preventing it? Although I know that that was a cause, I still don't know the mechanism. Something has opposed insulin's action. What was it? These are all things which will probably help us to study many, many other diseases as well. And therefore, I think in today's oration and many other orations that we have had in the past, all the other orations we've had in the past, and today is the 30th oration that we are holding in the great lady, Professor P.K. Devi's name. I've seen that at many of these orations, we have had legends who are able to synthesize modern medicine and modern technology with ancient medicine and ancient science that as we knew it. So if we can bring it all together, the golden triangle, which I think Dr. Ashok Vaidya and Dr. Mashelkar proposed many years ago, I think there's a lot of merit in it. And I think these are the kind of fora where we all come together, put our brains together. If we all just get back to our routine work and nothing is going to happen, I think India can make a huge contribution to the world if we bring in the ancient wisdom and the modern knowledge together and synthesize that into an integrated medicine. So I think even at the level of the MBBS itself, we should start, because if we don't learn the fundamentals then, if we don't understand what these systems are built on, it will be very difficult in the later years for us to understand what the other different systems are about. So I think we have a lot to learn from each other, and particularly for me, I would love to learn about the Ayush systems, and I look forward to collaborating with this group and with the speaker of the day today, sir. We already had some projects funded by the Ayush department. We are doing work on yoga as well as on some Ayurvedic compounds. And I do hope that we'll be able to amplify this and take it to the next level, including understanding the science behind it. And my scientists are all very keen to start collaborations with you. I do hope that today is a turning point in the history of collaboration between modern medicine and the ancient systems of medicine and the alternative systems of medicine. I'm very privileged to be part of this today, to be the chief guest, and it's a great honor for me to stay back and to listen to Dr. Rajesh Koteji as he makes his wonderful presentation. And I don't want to stand between you and the speaker. I'd like to thank the organizers for inviting me for this oration, and I do hope that in the future years also, I need not come as a chief guest, but just send me as an invitation, and I would be more than happy to come and listen and to learn the pearls of wisdom from the great masters. Thank you very much. Jai Hind.
Thank you very much, sir, for such interesting experiences that you shared. Dr. Ramavidya, I'm sure you want to respond to what sir has said just now. Would you like to say a few words?
You're
You are
muted,
muted.
madam.
I think Dr. V. Mohan is committing himself. I think we must take a note, both the Dr. Shobha Udupi and Dr. Ashwini Kumar Raut, our research head as well as the joint head. Please note it and remind him. And then he said that right in the beginning. And then he's also going to Ayush. And I think that if my small presentation has made anything on any mind, then it will understand that we need to have many more in this complex situation that we are in, that we put our minds together rather than, as very rightly Dr. V. Mohan made just a remark about it, that which I verbalized, that we are captive in the custody of what our peer figures will tell us. And we are all, if we honestly talk about it, I had that experience for a long time till I got out of it. That does not mean what Dr. V. Mohan has told us, that we don't live. And let us find out that Ayurveda is also science. So when scientifically we want to look at things, we will try to see that we will bring objectivity and without prejudices. So once we do that, this is what probably Dr. V. Mohan, and he has very well appreciated the 28 orators that must have given their orations, and 29th we are awaiting, and 30th is right away. And let's listen to Dr. Rajesh Bhai Kotecha ji, please. And thanks, Dr. V. Mohan. It was really wonderful. And what you said, our research center has done a lot of work with Dr. Shobha Udupi on sleep. Sleep in adolescence and school are one of our projects that you may want to associate with us, will be school health education and enlightened living. One of that was about sleep, because in 9th, 10th standard, people give up their physical activity and burn midnight oil for studying, put on weight, also highly stressed at that time. 11th, 12th are another. So 4 years of crucial transition in the pivotal years has gone without sleep. And there is a lot of work that Shobha Udupi and her students have done. And one day we will have a dialogue on that, with also diabetes. And if you have just sleep apnea, what do you do to your diabetes? So there is a lot that we can do together. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you very much. I now invite Dr. Ashwin Raut, Director, Clinical Research and Integrative Medicine, Kasturba Health Society Medical Research Center, to introduce orator of today, Dr. Rajesh Kotecha, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Beena Joshi. Dignitaries on the web dais and colleagues and dignitaries connected through web link. I thank the organizers for this assignment, because it is indeed a pleasure to introduce Dr. Rajesh Kotecha, today's orator for the 30th PK Devi Oration Award. To introduce Dr. Rajesh Kotecha in one sentence, if you ask me in today's meeting, I would say he is a flag bearer for integrative reforms in Ayush systems. Now, in next 4 or 5 minutes, I'm going to share with you his brief academic journey. Dr. Rajesh Kotecha ji, after having completed his BAMS and MD Ayurveda in flying colors from the distinguished Gujarat Ayurveda University in 1991, directly joined Mahatma Gandhi Chitrakoot Gramoday University at Chitrakoot in MP. Now, some of you may not be knowing, it is the most remote area and probably the poorest of poor live in this area. So this reflects Dr. Kotecha ji's commitment of connecting to the grassroots level and reaching out to the poorest of the poor of this country. Subsequently, Dr. Kotecha ji served there almost for 7 to 8 years in different capacities as a HOD Kaya Chikitsa, head of the Postgraduate Institute of Ayurveda, as well as he was a director of research at JRD Tata Foundation for Research in Ayurveda and Yoga Sciences at Chitrakoot. While at Chitrakoot, he had taken a very significant project as an principal investigator, and that was experiments on total health achievement of 100 villages. I think in today's oration, Dr. Kotecha's rich experience of Chitrakoot would certainly reflect. Later on, Dr. Kotecha moved to Jaipur and established a distinguished Chakrapani Ayurveda Clinic and Research Center. And he was there from 1998 to 2013, where he could demonstrate his entrepreneur skills and how he reached out not only in, beyond Jaipur, but beyond India, across the globe. During this phase, he also developed several websites which were dedicated for the purpose of Ayurveda and reached out to the international platforms. He traveled extensively from several countries in South America to Central America, United States of America, Canada, United Kingdom, France, Netherlands, and many other countries in Europe as a visiting faculty to various Ayurveda and yoga centers which were there in those respective countries. But while doing this international training programs and reaching out to the people of international community to serve through Ayurveda, simultaneously Dr. Kotecha also worked for several academic and research councils and universities in India in an advisory capacity and contributed in the growth and development of Ayurveda on scientific footing. Later, in August 23, 2013, he became Vice Chancellor of Gujarat Ayurveda University, Jamnagar. In this 3-year tenure from August 2013 to July 2016, he achieved several benchmarks for quality improvements in academics and research development at the Gujarat Ayurveda University to make it the best Ayurveda university of the country. Dr. Kotecha has also published 2 important books. One was on concept of Atattva Binivesh in Ayurveda. Dr. V. Mohan, you just referred 2 cases and how mind is important. Dr. Kotecha has got a very significant book, a description as a Atattva Binivesh, which is one of the mental disorder described in Charak Samhita, and he published it in 2000. Later on, he has also published A Beginner's Guide to Ayurveda in 2016. This is co-authored by his wife, Professor Mita Kotecha, who is also an expert in Ayurveda. He has over 70 scientific publications in national and international journal through his research work and research papers. Dr. Rajesh Kotecha also receives several awards, but to quote three important awards, I would say Global Ayurveda Physician Award, which he received in 2007 in the hands of then Chief Minister of Delhi, and which was conferred by Hakim Ajmal Khan Society, New Delhi. This is again, I want to emphasize how Unani Ayurveda are working together. You know, the society after the name of Hakim Ajmal Khan awarding an Ayurvedic expert. That was a good thing. Ayurveda Ratna in 2008. This was also awarded to him by an International Academy of Ayurveda Physicians. And in 2015, on 26 January, Dr. Kotecha receives the fourth highest national award of India, that is Padma Shri. We all know Dr. Kotecha is currently having a position as a specially designated secretary of Ministry of Ayush, and he has taken this responsibility since July 2017. He has been a driving force for bringing reforms in Ayush through National Ayurveda Ayush Mission. And we all know not only the academical reforms what he has brought in the training of graduation, post-graduation Ayush systems, but he has also reached out to the community education. He has also reached out how the clinical services will be given to the large community of country. Research, obviously there are reforms being taken place, but also guidelines for manufacturers and developing quality medicines is also on his mind, and that those reforms are also happening. But particularly what I would like to emphasize today of having dialogues for research and development of Ayush through international agencies like National Cancer Institute and OCAM. In fact, today evening, we will have a second research-based dialogue on cancer research with these institutes today evening itself. So in India also, Dr. Our director of NIRR said, Dr. V.M. also said, and there are many such modern medical institutes as well as modern biomedical institutes where the interface of Ayush systems is happening very conscientiously. So in a true sense, integrative reforms of Ayush systems are happening under the leadership of Dr. Rajesh Kotecha ji. Thank you, Dr. Rajesh Kotecha ji, for accepting to deliver an oration, a prestigious Professor P.K. Devi Memorial Oration on the topic. What you have chosen is importance of Ayush, principles, products, and practices for attaining WHO Sustainable Development Goals and addressing the challenges of malnutrition. We look forward for an interesting oration from you, Dr. Rajesh Kotecha ji. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Ashwin. I now invite Dr. Jayashree Joshi to read out the citation. Dr. Jayashree Joshi is Professor Emeritus, Kasturba Health Society Medical Research Center, Mumbai. Ma'am, you are muted.
Sorry, very sorry.
Yeah.
So, namaskar and good evening. Vaidya Shri Rajesh Kotecha, awardee for today's P.K. Devi oration. Dr. V. Mohan, chief guest. Professor Ashok Vaidya, Dr. Rama Vaidya, Dr. Gitanjali Sachdeva, Dr. Shobha Udupi, Dr. Ashwini Kumar Raut, Dr. Smita Mahale, Dr. Beena Joshi, Dr. Anushri Patil, Shubhada Agashe. I'm really tempted to repeat the names again because I know them so well and I can't help it. I saw Dr. Raghavan also joining. He's also a former awardee. Dr. V. Prakash, Dr. Julia Roberts, Dr. Abhay Bang, Dr. H.S. Palep, Dr. Jagmeet Mohan, Dr. Jagmeet Madan, and family members of Professor P.K. Devi, including Dr. Bhaskar, Dr. Shobana, Dr. Lakshmi Mehta, and Mrs. Hema Balchandran, and many esteemed viewers on this occasion, whom I cannot name individually due to time constraint, but I do value very much. I am delighted to read this citation as follows. Dr. Bina, are you sharing it on the screen? Because I have put it on my laptop. Hello?
It's there. It's there. It's on the screen.
Yes, madam, it is visible.
Yes, so because I'm, thank you. So ICMR, National Institute for Research in Reproduction and Child Health, and Kasturba Health Society Medical Research Center, Mumbai, are honored to bestow on Vaidya Rajesh Kotecha, Padma Shri, Secretary, Ministry of Ayush, Government of India, with the 30th Professor P.K. Devi Memorial Oration. In appreciation of his lifetime achievements in the field of Ayush in India, excellent clinical acumen and research expertise in Ayurveda, publishing books guiding physicians for excellence in mental, physical, and holistic health, recognition as the global Ayurveda physician, Ayurveda Ratna, and Padma Shri, contributions to the Ayurvedic treatment of disease through innovative and adaptive methods of research in Ayurveda followed internationally, contribution to the national policy of Ayush health delivery systems through the integrative setup of the health systems in India, and holding the prestigious position as Vice Chancellor, Gujarat Ayurveda University. Signed, Dr. Sachdev, Dr. Vaidya, Dr. Rama Vaidya, and Dr. Shobha Udupi on 27th of January, 2022. Sir, let me wish you on behalf of all of us health, happiness, and success. Shubhaste Panthanas Santu. Thank you.
Thank you, madam. I now request Dr. Rajesh Kotecha, sir, to deliver the oration.
Thank you so much. The chief guest, Dr. V. Mohanji, Dr. Ashok Vaidya ji, Dr. Amma Vaidya ji, Dr. Gitanjali Sachdeva ji, all other dignitaries, and kindly accept my gratitude and compliments. I was introduced in great detail, but I even, I did not know that I did that much of contribution. So I am happy to hear this, but it was little long, and I was happy to hear this. I feel great to address you all on this 31st Professor P.K. Devi Memorial Oration. On behalf of Ministry of Ayush, Government of India, I congratulate ICMR, National Institute for Research in Reproductive and Child Health, Mumbai, and Kasturba Health Society, Medical Research Center, Mumbai, for organizing this event every year. I forgot to mention about the presence of the family members of late Professor P.K. Devi ji, remembering and celebrating year after year in the memory of Professor P.K. Devi, a domain expert in modern biomedical reproductive health, through a solid platform like this is highly appreciable, and I am glad that every year this is being organized to share, discuss, identify on various aspects of healthcare. I was going through the list of the earlier orators, and I was highly impressed and feel honored that I was considered as one of these experts. Like in 2019, Dr. Abhay Bang was there, and he's also present in this oration. Dr. Vijay Raghavan and Dr. Lakshmi Mehta, Arvind Chopra, and so on. Even then, former health minister Dr. Sushila Nair also have been invited for this oration in 1919. Dr. Ranjit Roy Chaudhary, and all these stalwarts, Dr. M.S. Valiathan, all these, I am very small and in front of them. So thank you for inviting me. I have a small correction that I was in my introduction. It was said that I had 70 publications on my name. It is not true. I was more of a practitioner than researcher. So I had not that much of publication in my name. Professor P.K. Devi was instrumental in developing excellent departments of obstetrics and gynecology. Ramaji had discussed, and then introduced this very well. She was actually instrumental in establishing such departments in several medical colleges and contributed significantly to clinical research in reproductive medicine at national and international level. We all know that she had a keen interest in the growth of Ayurveda as a science. Her dedication and commitment towards scientific pursuit of Ayurveda will always be remembered. As mentioned, today's topic, that importance of Ayush, principles, products, and practices for attaining SDG 2, which is specific to addressing the challenges of malnutrition. Nutrition is a vital component of the individual and community health, as nutritional well-being of the population is regarded as an economic asset and an important indicator for the development of the nation. Nutrition is progressively being perceived as a significant epitome of advancement at public and worldwide level. When we talk about the nutrition, we sometimes narrow it down to talking about the malnutrition, talking about the nutrition of the child, adolescent, or mother, or lactating mother, or pregnant woman. And we do not expand our horizons, taking nutrition to more bigger horizons, because nutrition is vital for every individual, whether we are city dwellers, whether we are living in a remote village, whether we are very poor or we are very rich. Everybody has an impact on how we behave, how we take our nutrition. So there is another perspective. Nutrition is like malnutrition, having everything, but a lot of people do not know what to eat and what not to eat. So they are malnourished, they are obese, or having lot of NCDs because of this nutrition issue. So when we look at nutrition, it should be expanded. The horizon should be expanded. There is another aspect is a therapeutic nutrition. Dr. Mohan is a very well-known diabetologist, so he may agree that when we look at the management of diabetes per se, the nutrition aspect of patients with diabetes is also very important. So giving just medicine is not enough. We have to look at the nutrition also. So therapeutic nutrition, in Ayurveda it is called as pathya apathya, pathya pathya kalpana. So there is a famous verse of Lolimraj. It says, Pathye sati gadartasya kimaushadh niveshanaihi. And at the same time he says, Pathye asati gadartasya kimaushadh niveshanaihi. It means that, if we look at therapeutic nutrition, then there is no need of medicine. In first verse he says. Then he says that if we do not want to look at therapeutic nutrition, then what is the need of medicine? What is the use of medicine? Because it is not enough. So it is a very wonderful verse written by Lolimraj. It is by itself, it is a very interesting explanation of how therapeutic nutrition is important. In reference to SDG 2, nutrition is the key point for this particular goal. It says end hunger, achieve food security, and improve nutrition, and promote sustainable agriculture, and is an essential component for achieving many of the other targets. Overall, the nutritional aspects of the SDGs aim to promote healthy and sustainable diets and ensure food security globally. So this is exactly the definition of SDG 2 goals. There is the results of the 5th round of the National Family Health Survey, NHFS 5, conducted in 22 states and union territories. It showed a rise in the prevalence of anemia among women and children, as well as an increase in the percentage of stunted, wasted, and underweight children. Several states have also witnessed a rise in obesity among children. So, in spite of all these efforts, Rashtriya Poshan Mission, National Nutrition Mission, and all other efforts by the central government, state governments, NGOs, sensitization, rising economic power of our country, having more competence into middle class people of spending money. Why this is happening? This could be a question. Malnutrition among children, adolescent girls, pregnant women, and lactating mothers, I was mentioning, is actually an important public healthcare challenge in our country. Although various programs like PDS, Public Distribution System, Integrated Child Development Services, ICDS, National Midday Meal Program, and all several schemes for providing work and food are operational. Further, effective implementation, targeting, and coverage with holistic approach through Ayush systems will surely help in combating malnutrition successfully if we look at the possibilities. There is a broad scope for the Ayush intervention to supplement the nutrition and to create awareness in the community about the tradition-based Ayush food recipes, which not only help in recovery from the disease, but also help in the prevention of many disease conditions. In Ayurveda, it says, Sankshepatha Kriya Yogo Nidan Parivarjanam. Dr. Mohan rightly mentioned, and then he has mentioned this couple of his experiences and sharing his experiences. It is the core of Ayurveda understanding of Ayurvedic science that we need to look at the causative factors of any disease or any condition. So it is Sankshepata Kriya Yoga. It is also a treatment to look at the cause and preventing those causes. So if we look at nutrition, if we correct the nutrition, we may actually contribute a lot without spending a lot of money for medical services and investing into health infrastructure, and we may be able to keep our people healthy. So the potential of Ayurveda and other Ayush systems can be utilized to address the malnutrition in this perspective. Contemporary modern nutrition science and food science describes food based on its nutritional values derived from proteins, carbohydrates, fats, vitamins, minerals, trace elements. While traditional systems like Ayurveda and other Unani Siddha, it focuses on diversified aspects of dietetics and nutrition, like quality, that is inherent properties of the food, guna, we call it guna, lagu, guru, ushna, shita, there are 20 such types of guna. Quantity, processing methods, rationale of combination of food articles, emotional aspects. We just heard from the chief guest of this oration. Prakriti of a person, geographical and environmental conditions, rules of food consumption. So there are so many such things are described very well into these sciences, and then they are very simple. And in my talk also, I will try to keep the things as simple as possible. I will not cite a lot of different things, but I will try to make sure that I'm able to pass the message what I wanted to convey. The supply of nutrients to the human body depends on not only on the amount of a nutrient in food, but also on its bioavailability. In Ayurveda, there is a concept of Agni. So if Jatharagni is not well, then no matter how much nutrition is supplied, but bioavailability is compromised, then we are not able to actually enrich a person with the proper nutrition. That could be one of the cause why, in spite of such wonderful programs of providing nutrition to the entire community, why our markers are going down. This could be one of the cause. Therefore, it is necessary to consider the nutrient bioavailability along with nutrient content of the foods. While designing nutrition sensitive policies and nutrition interventions, attention may be given to improve digestion and assimilation of nutrients with the help of Ayush principles and products. Like there is a concept of Deepaniya and Pachaniya Ayurveda interventions, and they are capable to enhancing this bioavailability and bioefficacy of a particular component with which it is combined. In Ashtanga there is a wonderful sutra. It says, Rogaha sarve api mande agnau sutaram udarani cha ajirnat malinehi cha annehi jayante mala sanchayat. It says that if Agni is not well, then assimilation do not happen. And then ajirna happens, means indigestion happens. And then all these nutrients will convert into the malam. They are waste product for the body. And then it also creates a lot of diseases. So this aspect, to cater this aspect, it is not a rocket science. It needs just simple interventions that I will mention in a while. Ayurveda also places a special predominance on ahara and the right way of eating food. It is known as Ashta Ahara Vidhi Visheshayatanani, and they are explained in a very systematic and scientific manner. It gives basic dietary guidelines for choosing appropriate food, quality, quantity, a combination of food and cooking method, etc. For example, about the quantity, how much to eat, there is a wonderful explanation. And it is not mathematical. It is like we need to put this in our IEC, information, education, communication strategy, that a person, how much a person has to eat, when to eat. So it says that when earlier food is digested, it is time to eat again. And what are the signs? It means that you are hungry, you need to, you wanted to eat, and then it is the time to eat. And you have udgar, shuddha udgar, means, you feel to eat, and your system actually craves for the food. And how much to eat? It says that visualize 4 parts of our appetite. Out of these, 2 parts should be filled with the solid food, 1 part with the liquid food, and 1 part should be empty. And then there is a benchmark how to visualize these 4 parts, that when we eat a food, we should not feel heavy, and we are competent to perform the same type of work which we were doing before eating. After eating, we should be able to perform the same type of work. We should not be dizzy, we should not feel heavy, we should not be drowsy, and that is the right kind of quantity. So those explanation can be easily disseminated, and our community is quite well versed about that. There is a lot of wisdom into our traditions of our country. I would like to cite a couple of examples. That recently during these COVID times, we had an impact assessment study through one of the application, Ayush Sanjeevani application. So within a short period of time, we got like 1.5 million downloads on both these platforms, iOS and Google platform. And then there was a facility of responding whether they have used some Ayush intervention in COVID times, or there was a facility for the physicians to report about how many people, how many patients in their contact also use this Ayush. And we got response of 1.47 crore responses. It's like more than 1% of our entire population. After data cleaning, etc., we were able to visualize that actual response was from 1.3 to 1.33 crore people. And then it was analyzed. It is published also in Journal of Internet Research, and it is a very good journal. And what it says, that this observation or impact assessment says that 89% of our population, 89.1% to be precise, have responded that they have used some Ayush modalities during COVID times, either as a prophylaxis or as an intervention, and and in different forms. And out of that 89.1%, 86% responded that they thought that they have benefited, either in the form of quality of life, of sleep improvement, or Agni, parameters, or there are several parameters of quality of life improvement. So this shows that it is actually embedded into our community's mindset, whether we believe it or we don't believe. We had another study. It was a formal survey study in one of the block of Amethi. Recently, it was completed with the help of Common Service Center, CSCs of Mighty. And it was a household survey of entire block of one of the area of Amethi in Uttar Pradesh. We found that more than 70% have responded that they, in last 1 year, they have taken some of the Ayush medicine, either Ayurveda, homeopathy, or in last 1 year. And more than 80% have responded that they know and they are using some of the Ayush things for their health requirements. So these are the kind of a wisdom that we can use for this propagation of this simple knowledge, so that people can help themselves without spending so much of money. Ayurveda also has an understanding of Viruddha Ahar, so incompatible diet. An incompatible diet has a lot of impact of Agni and subsequently creating Ama or autoimmune diseases. And there is a very well understanding. There are good publications also. So this also aspect we can always look at, like, for example, eating onion and milk together is not good for the Agni. And we all have this experience, whether we know about that or not. But if we take raw onions and we take something with the milk, we have either acidity, we don't feel good, and then it has an impact on our digestive function. So there are so many such examples, eating fish with milk and so on. So this could be also one of the aspects that we need to look at. When we explore slower and healthier lifestyle of humans, we realize that some of the most beautiful practices have been left behind, like eating slowly, eating mindful eating. That could be a good message, that when we eat, we should not do anything else. We should not look at the TV. It actually increases the bioavailability if we have mindful eating. We all know about that, and there are a lot of good publications. So, but then we need to pass on this, good with the good communication strategy, and for working towards a healthy future, we'll need to reclaim some of these traditional wisdom and values. Traditional wisdom about processing of food, its preservation techniques, and their therapeutic effects has also been established for many generations in India, and they are mostly and largely region specific. Like we talk about Thalipet in Maharashtra, and we have Dokla in Gujarat, or we have Idli in the South India. So those are very good food which have good nutritional value, but then we have also to strategize the region specific strategies for the corrections of the nutrition. Traditional household food processing also, preparation methods, utensils like iron skillets or tawa, enhance the bioavailability of micronutrients in plant-based diets and reduce the content of anti-nutrients. So that is also one of the aspects. According to our traditional knowledge, region and seasonal specific foods, which have been prepared by means of local fiber roots, locally available fruits, leafy vegetables, and grasses are necessary for us, and we need to revive all those. For example, recently we had a good survey, and we found that as long as 40 such vegetables that we used to eat just 40-50 years ago, largely we are now forgetting about that, and we are into monotonous diet, monotonous staple foods. Either we eat rice or we eat wheat. So preparations are largely wheat and rice. And then for protein, our dependency on our country, we know that we are largely vegetarian, whether we are eating vegetarian food or not, but largely vegetarian. And then slowly due to influence of the this communication coming out through media, electronic media, that you need to eat more vegetables, you need to eat more salad. Nobody talks about dal. So we are now becoming more and more protein deficient, and that is a reason of worry. So we need to propagate, we need to include this into our communication strategy. Eating dal is also very important. And we are having actually the largest varieties of dal or pulses and beans in our country. No other country except other neighboring Southeast Asian countries having this much of varieties of pulses and beans. So we need to put that into practice. I want to also mention one of the interesting example that even in Ayush practices, slowly, because of the influence of naturopathy, naturopathy actually because it is so much indigenized that we all believe that naturopathy is Indian medicine, but naturopathy is not Indian medicine. It was brought in and popularized by Mahatma Gandhi ji, and then it was Indianized. So in original naturopathy principles, they say about not to eat red meat, which is logical. We all know why we should not eat a lot of red meat. But then when it was Indianized, fortunately or unfortunately, it was converted into not to eat dal, because when you cross 50 years of age, you should not eat dal, which is a popular perception, which is like a misinterpretation of the original naturopathy principle. And so largely naturopathy practitioners, I always have this discussion with naturopaths that what is the rationale, what is scientific explanation why you don't allow your patients to eat dal. They have no any scientific explanation. So depriving the people from eating dal is actually depriving them from eating and taking more and more protein. And we know that there is a strong relationship of lack of protein and NCDs. So that also, we need to look at that, and this should be aligned. Then largely our country, lot of people, have these enough micronutrients such as vitamins and minerals and and trace elements through varieties of food. So our traditional Indian food is having lot of varieties, not only in staple food, but and then my friends from the West, they always are amazed that we have every day different breakfast, different food, different lunch and different dinner. And they have everything set. So they have a continental breakfast in the morning, same lunch and same dinner. They take the leftover from the previous night dinner, and then they have the something fixing of the dinner. So it is not our tradition. So we need to go back to the basics actually. That is what I wanted to convey. Also, according to Ayurveda, one should eat freshly prepared meals and include more of locally available seasonal fruits and that I mentioned. But freshly prepared meal also has a lot of science behind it. When we reheat the food, particularly the dal, it becomes complex for the Agni. So this messaging also is very important for correcting nutrition of the community. Also, backyard kitchen gardening is also important aspect that I will mention after this, that we are working with Ministry of WCD and in a Mission Nutrition 2. Ayush is coming as an integrated approach with this concept of backyard kitchen gardening, where we want to propagate, a home herbal garden where some vegetables, some spices can be grown, and it is a ready-made sources for the micronutrients of the families. These systems, Ayush systems, have a vast treasure of knowledge of all aspects of health and nutrition, and we are known, India is well known for its diverse varieties. So when we look at that, we need to put focus on behavioral changes, dietary modifications and medications as per practices and principle of these sciences, and it would certainly help in health promotion, prevention of diseases, and lowering of prevalence of malnutrition. So I was mentioning about Agni correcting or increasing bioavailability. So there are simple properties of Dipana Pachana, like pipali, choti people, it's known as piper longum also, or ginger, sunthi, or trikatu, or dadi mastak, or ingvastak. All these are very simple preparations, or panchkol churna, that can be pre-mixed and can be added as an adjuvant to existing take-home ration, and that will help. Not only it make the food very tasty, but it also increases the bioavailability. In Drug and Cosmetic Act 1940, now the act is being revised. So various single drug formulations have been explained under the Balya, Brihana, Poshaka category. These products, particularly food category, having high nutritional value with use of appropriate food technology, they can be included into current take-home ration guidelines. For example, ashwagandha fortified milk to the midday meal. There are some experiments, large-scale experiments into Tamil Nadu, having ashwagandha kshirapaka, ashwagandha fortified milk given to the school-going children, and then their endurance and then performance were improved significantly. The immunity enhancer Ayush products for malnourished children, it could be amla, it could be shigru, or this shigru, I forgot this English name of this. I will mention right now. So malnutrition and poor immunity also are interlinked. So therefore, for prevention and management of malnutrition, along with nutritional supplements such rasayana or immunity enhancer products also can be thought about or can be proved beneficial. Then when I talked about diversity, we also need to look at not only different kinds of vegetables but millets and different types of rice and locally available varieties of different types of food which has either protein or carbohydrates or fats. I will discuss more about ghee separately because ghee is one of the point where there is a lot of discussion, a lot of difference of opinion happens. In various studies, it was found that greater dietary diversity was significantly associated with increased height for weight, HAZ among children and reduced stunting. Given the regional and seasonal variability among food preference across India, different formulations or associated commodities will be helpful in filling the critical nutrient gaps in the diets. So we need to look at granular approach or region specific approach. So one size fits all approach will not work. That is a kind of a message which I wanted to convey. When we talk about the millets, region specific millets, for example, jowar is more famous into the Maharashtra and Gujarat, bajra in Gujarat and Rajasthan, ragi in the South India, or jagora into the eastern parts of our country, or bari or jaw or kangri or kodra is in Sanskrit. So there are so many such, and now it is actually these millets are more costly than our staple diets like wheat and rice. But we need to look at these possibilities of having millets categorically included into our food basket. Promotion of use of regionally used oils like coconut, groundnut, sesame, and mustard oils for cooking can also be considered. We can refer Compendium of Ayurveda Dietetics with reference to cereals and pulses and oils published by CCRS for more details. Natural healthy alternatives to sugar also should be considered because we know that sugar is one of the food item which we consume a lot. Like there is an interesting study that as compared to 35 years before, our sugar consumption have increased 4 times. There is an interesting fact also. I am sure that you all will be aware about that. That 5 decades ago, when there was NCDs started taking place in US, there was a big study about impact of sugar into NCDs, particularly diabetes and hypertension, etc. And this group of scientists were actually bribed with $5 million, not to mention sugar, but making the oils responsible for the heart diseases and other non-communicable diseases, and it has an impact that we all believed that oil only is responsible for such types of disorders and sugar is not responsible. Now we know that sugar is equally responsible for that. So we need to look at how we can provide substitutes of sugar from healthy alternatives like jaggery, honey, or even there is a study on maduk, mahuda, and the flowers of maduk also provides a very good alternative of sugar, and they are not that much harmful as compared to the white sugar. Consideration of seasonal variation while recommending various food recipes is also, like bodily metabolism according to Ayurveda is close linked to various seasons. So accordingly, certain foods and products are consumed in specific seasons. So we call it Ritucharya, like gazak made from the sesame or bajra in winter, or ghevar in monsoon and rainy season. Similarly, while recommending fruits and vegetables, seasonal variations should also be, we need to consider. So those types of diversities, we generally do not look at those possibilities. Likewise, we have a huge resource of evidence-based studies in Ayush, which can be implemented on a large scale nationwide, which could bring about a massive change in the health parameters of our nation. For prevention and management of mild to moderate cases of iron deficiency anemia, there is, I want to cite one example of Drakshavle study into the Belgaum area in few schools. It's a large scale study. So when the study was started with under the PHI scheme of Ministry of Ayush, one of the medical college of Belgaum, one of the Ayurvedic college, and Institute of Traditional Medicine of ICMR was the collaborating institutions. And they at the beginning they found that more than 24% of children of those schools were anemic, and after 6 months of consumption of Drakshavle and dietary corrections together, it was down to 1% from 24% in 6 months. So those kind of evidences can be implemented largely. That is what we are working with Ministry of WCD, Women and Child Development. So in Mission Nutrition 2, it is pending with approval of Cabinet, but in Mission Nutrition 2, there's a large scale Ayush intervention is coming up, because we have collaborated a lot and we have tried to incorporate these suggestions, which is not expensive, but it is diverse, provides solution, region specific solutions, and it also excites our community because they know about that. They understand it very well. So that is what we are doing. This CCRAS, an autonomous body under the Ministry of Ayush, has developed around 10 research-based formulations to be used as a nutrition supplement for different age groups. That can be one of the benchmark. Further, the Council has undertaken studies for validation of formulations for management of iron deficiency anemia. Other than this Drakshavle, there was work on Amalaki, or we eat particularly Bathwa karke ek bhaji we eat. This Bathwa and Amla together is also very well studied. So, and also Ashwagandha for the adolescent children. So there are so many such studies, and we need to translate these into the actual public health intervention. There's an interesting information I want to pass on, is that Food Safety and Standards Authority of India, FSSAI, has recently published the draft regulation on Ayurveda Ahar. So Ayurveda Ahar is having a different category, and which is like nutrition food, nutritional supplements based on Ayurveda, or therapeutic food like Pathya Kalpana. And all this will be, and it will open up the big commerce also. But the idea is having, to contribute into the nutrition in aspect of our country through this Ayurveda Ahar category under FSSAI. So, and I'm going towards the end of my talk. But before I finish this talk, I want to cite some good examples. I will take another 5 minutes, and these examples are actually very interesting. For example, I mentioned that I would like to talk about ghee. So there is a long debate about ghee because it's a pure animal fat, and in popular perception, it increases the LDL, and then now, based on large scale studies, we understood that there are two types of ghee available in the market. One is the Bilona ghee, which is traditionally made ghee, and Bilona is like, first we take milk or cream and then we make it fermented, like usko hum jaise dahi banate hain. After this fermentation we take out butter, and when we make ghee. And another is like converting ghee directly from the cream, just boiling the cream and then converting it into ghee. So both these ghee, we have one interesting study about that, comparison of these two on volunteers as a part of PhD study. We found that if given like 50 gram of ghee every day to volunteers, after 1 month, we found that this Bilona ghee actually increases the HDL, corrects Agni, corrects the liver function, and reduces the total cholesterol and triglycerides. And this 50 gram of ghee, which is available in the market, it increases all the bad parameters, LDL and TG and total cholesterol and overall health and Agni and Vibandh also it has created. And lot of such volunteers have to terminate their intake of ghee before the 1 month period. So that is an interesting study, and it shows us that ghee, when we talk about the ghee, we need to propagate this Bilona ghee, and then that actually will help us to correct this, because ghee, we all know that ghee has vitamin A and lot of other fat soluble nutrients. Recently, I was discussing with director ILBS. They have also observed an interesting aspect of ghee, that ghee actually reverses to some extent the alcohol induced liver cirrhosis. And the director ILBS was, he was laughing, and then he was said that if I publish this, all over the world people will start drinking ghee without stopping alcohol, because they will think that ghee, if I take ghee, my liver will be saved by alcohol, from alcohol. So that is interesting. But what I am trying to convey is that ghee should be considered as an important aspect of our diet, and it should be propagated. Messaging should be rightly conveyed, and ghee should not be forbidden. That is I wanted to convey. Another study was about the comparison of barley and oats. We know that we have lot of oats now in our food basket, and it is propagated as a very healthy nutrition. And oats is not originated in our country. Barley is our country specific, so it has an impact on our genetic design and our Agni, etc. So we found that this comparative study, also in another part of another PhD study, it was a big study. We found that barley is better than oats in nutrition parameters, in bioavailability, and Agni aspect, and all other aspects. So that is an interesting observation. There's another observation is about the sprouts, that we all know, and we understand from the understanding of modern nutrition research, is that sprouts are one of the good source of several vitamins and micronutrients and trace elements. So we eat fondly. Lot of us may be having these sprouts in our everyday breakfast. But then we had a study, because Ayurveda says that it is a viruddha anna. Viruddha means that it is complex to digest, and it should be avoided to eat raw. It should be cooked. So we had a study, and we found that actually it is true that everyday eating sprouts, raw sprouts, and cooked or sorted sprouts has no big difference into their nutrition value, but has a big difference on its bioavailability, Agni, and on creating lot of digestive disturbances. And we found during this study that Health Canada, for example, or so many other country in their advisory, they have actually advised to their country people that the elderly people and children should not consume commercially available sprouts, because it is an easy target for E. coli like bacteria to grow. So it is simple that if we cook it, we steam it, and we take it as a cooked meal, it is better. So this is like a kind of very simple, a subtle way of understanding nutrition from Ayurvedic perspective. Then there was a study, a comparative study between ragi and dextrose. Dextrose is like, we know that dextrose is used for as a therapeutic intervention for anemia, and we found that ragi is actually better than dextrose if consumed regularly. Then we had a big study in Jamnagar about Poshak biscuits. So Poshak biscuits we have provided to entire block of Jamkhambaliya Tehsil of Jamnagar district. And we found that over the period of 6 month time, we were able to actually reduce the stunting and malnutrition significantly into this entire community of the school going children. And this Poshak biscuit had only some Shatavari and Ashwagandha, and in addition to the regular biscuit part. That also could be considered as a benchmark. Another couple of aspects I want to discuss is about vihara, is importance of lifestyle into nutrition. So Ayurveda says there are 3 aspects to look at to stay healthy: is ahara, nidra, and vyayama. So we always talk about ahara when we talk about nutrition, but Dr. Mohan rightly mentioned about the sleep aspect. Ayurveda has a great explanation about the importance of sleep to stay healthy. So when we talk about nutrition, we need to look at the behavior change needed for the sleep aspect, regular sleeping, particular hours of sleeping, time of sleeping, quality of sleep. All these things should be considered. At the same time, vyayama, exercise, also has a great role. So I want to cite one interesting example of recently there is a publication from AIMS Delhi. We have supported as a center of excellence to AIMS Delhi. There is a center of integrative medicine research, and this CIMR, in collaboration with one of the department of neurophysiology of AIMS, they did study on volunteers about the comparison of exercise, popular exercise like going to gym, and practice of yoga. And this comparison was very interesting because they did actually quantify and look at the mechanics from the functional MRI. What they found is never happened. They found that the comparison on the parameters of exercise both have the same outcome. But they also have analyzed the sattva, rajas, tamas aspect, the mind, the guna aspect of mind, the sattvic, rajasic, and tamasic aspect of the properties of mind. They found that going to gym and doing regular exercise, high intense exercise, actually increases the rajas and tamas. They found it through functional MRI, and they have quantified it. They were able to quantify it, and then through yoga practice, it increases the sattva aspect of our mind. So that is very interesting. That is an out of the box observation, but that I wanted to cite. And while I wanted to mention and discuss about the importance of lifestyle into our nutrition. Last thing I want to mention is about the importance and of microbiome. Gut microbiome now is an evolving science, and gut microbiome diversity is important to stay healthy. We know that gut microbiome has an impact on our behavior, our DNA, our diseases, our health, our physiology. They have intervention everywhere, and we need to look at that. Maintaining the diversity and healthy microbiome, gut microbiome, is very important aspect when we talk about the nutrition. Few years back, nobody would believe that Parkinson's has a relationship with gut microbiome. Now this gut-brain connection is well established, and we know that that gut microbiome has an impact on the diseases, neurodegenerative diseases like Parkinson's. So we need to look at this aspect from science perspective, that when we talk about the nutrition, we need to look at how to preserve the diversity and how to make the healthy gut microbiome through traditional Indian foods, because we know that all these imported knowledge of nutrition have no capacity of maintaining healthy microbiome. It is only our speciality. That is why in India, no matter people blame that Indian people are very sick, we are the diabetes capital of the world, but it is all narrative. It is more of narrative than actual fact. Of course, we are suffering with a lot of diabetes. It is because of the impact of the modern lifestyle of last 30-40 years. We were not the capital of diabetes. We are not the capital of hypertension. It happened into last 40-50 years, not before. It is because of the impact of the now we are into the trap, this vicious cycle of the aspect of the nutrition, which is imported, not Indianized, not based on Indian knowledge system. Lifestyle and prakriti, we forgot about that. We strongly believe that we have a solutions one size fits all, and if we are ill, we have to take a pill. So that we need to come out from that, and then for that we need a large scale behavior change program, like what our honorable Prime Minister did through Swachhata Abhiyan or Jal Jeevan Mission. Those kind of important and impressive communication strategy is required. That is what we have proposed for Mission Poshan 2. Lastly, I want to cite one more example, and I will finish my talk, is about a very interesting observation. When I was in Jamnagar, we had a study, a very big study, about Vayasthapana aspect of some Rasayana drug. Vayasthapana is like is a slowing down of the aging or healthy aging. So when we talk about the nutrition, we need to look at this aspect of how we make our aging population healthy. So increasing the life expectancy could be one of the goal, but increasing the life expectancy and what is happening in the West is not a good model, that all people live in the end of the life care or assisted living. That should not be the goal. We should be having healthy aging and happy aging. So for this healthy and happy aging, we should visualize some of the interesting goals, and there are some clues that I wanted to mention. That we did study Amlaki, that is Amla, and Guduchi, Tinospora cordifolia, on Drosophilus model. We know that Drosophilus has a lifespan of 18 to 21 days. So we wanted to look at this possibility of Vayasthapana, restoration of aging, on this Drosophilus model. So what we found is that in control group, all of these Drosophilus died by the end of 21 days. But then in Amla group, you won't believe, but they survived till 108 days. And in this Guduchi group, this Drosophilus survived till 88 days. So that is a very big proof of concept that if we look at that, there is a big possibility of creating world-class some of the interventions for healthy aging. We know that through this golden triangle, there was a study on Amla, where we found that Amla, actually regular consumption of Amalaki rasayan, it reverses the DNA damages to certain extent. So those kind of observations should be translated into such large scale, public health intervention when we talk about the SDG, and that is a possibility of great value addition. And I think that we all are thought leaders, and if we collectively try to do something, it is not an impossible task to get it done. So let's come forward together to build a healthy, resilient India. I am sure that the interactions, communications will pave the way for tangible activities with fruitful outcomes. Kindly accept my compliments for the successful conduct of this event to all the organizers, and my thank to all participants, all the luminaries who is attending this oration. Thank you so much. Pranams. Namaskar.
Thank you very much, sir. Indeed, it was very, very interesting. Lot of new things. You have added value to whatever we had heard through your research, and I'm sure everybody has benefited and can introspect how to change small little things in their day-to-day lives and promote healthy living and holistic way of diet modifications, whatever are necessary. On behalf of the PKV Oration Committee, I now request Dr. Geetanjali Sachdeva to hand over the Oration Award to Dr. Koteja. Sir, we would be posting it to you. We request you to accept this on our behalf. Can we share the request? Screen.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
I was forgetting about this Shigru. It is drumstick. So in message books, I saw from Supriya that it is drumstick. So this is just an addition of information. Thank you.
I now request Mrs. Shubhada Agashe, Assistant Director, Kasturba Health Society Medical Research, to propose vote of thanks.
Thank you, Veena. I hope I'm heard. Yeah. On behalf of NIRRH and Kasturba Health Society, it's my privilege and pleasure to propose vote of thanks. Padma Shri Rajesh Kotecha sir, in this era of galloping pandemic, you have spared your so much of time and delivered the oration. We all are very, very, very thankful to you for the knowledge that you have shared with us regarding the principle, product, and practices of Ayurveda. As you have mentioned in your speech, sir, that 86% of our people in our country believe in Ayush systems. And that's a great future for us, definitely. Thank you for sharing your thoughts with us. I would love to thank our chief guest of today, Padma Shri V. Mohan sir. Sir, the example that you gave of sugar shooting up to 700 and then bouncing down to normalcy will definitely give an insight to the mind and body connect that probably we have forgotten. And this Ayush systems which address all these things will definitely help in controlling our status. What sir said, like we are treated as a capital of diabetes. Madam, what inter-system dialogues we have initiated, Dr. Rama Madam, that these kind of dialogues with different systems and particularly the body and mind connect, especially the sleep pattern, will help us controlling many diseases in future. Sir, we are very much thankful to you. Now I want to thank our own Professor Emeritus and patron of this PK Devi Oration Committee, our ex-director, Dr. Ashok Vaidya. So he is always a guiding force behind us, and his guidance is with us, and so that we are through this journey all throughout. I take this opportunity to thank President of Kasturba Society, Shri Dhirubhai Mehta. In this journey, he is with us all throughout. Thank you, sir. I would also like to thank Secretary of Kasturba Society, Dr. B.S. Garg, sir. I am greatly thankful to Director of NIRRH, Dr. Gitanjali Sachdeva. Thank you, madam, for joining hands with us. It was a singular journey with KHSMRC. Now you are with us. Ex-Director of ICMR NIRRH, Dr. Smita Mahale, madam, who has taken the baton with us and she had joined hands with us. Madam, thank you very much. Members of annual Professor PK Devi Oration Committee, Dr. Jayashree Joshi, Madam, Professor Emeritus of Kasturba Society Medical Research Center, Dr. Anushri Patil, Dr. Beena Joshi. I'm fortunate to be a part of this committee. I'm thankful to all the committee members. There is a team from NIRRH, Dr. Prabhajit Kaur, who has helped us reaching to so many people via social media. I'm thankful to sir. And a team of Mr. Vaibhav for the artwork, Dr. Sushant for IT support, Dr. Praveen Sanup for citation and the plaque, nice plaque that we have seen. I'm thankful to you all. And of course, last but not least, one person I've not yet mentioned. They say that journey of 1,000 miles begins with single step. And a small little step that Madam explained, that I will not let you down, has began this 30-year-long journey of PK Devi orations since 1992. Our own Dr. Rama Vaidya, Director of Metabolic and Endocrine Department. Madam, thank you very much for non-stop journey of this 30 years. Thank you very much. I'm greatly thankful to all the participants. Your presence has made a great honor to us. I think it's a blessing in disguise that this pandemic has given us a virtual platform, and we are connected with people from Switzerland, Dr. Balakrishnan, Dr. Jonathan from USA. I'm thankful to all the relatives and students of Dr. PK Devi for joining this oration. Thank you all. Thank you very much. Thanks, Beena. Over to you.
Thank you, Shubhda. As we come to a close of this oration event, I request all of you to stand up for the national anthem.
Veena, you said we will be having national anthem.
Yeah. I request all of you to stand up for the national anthem, and all of you can unmute and we can recite it together. Jana Gana Mana Punjab, Sindh, Gujarat, Maratha, Dravida, Utkal, Ganga, Vindhya, Himachal, Yamuna, Ganga, Jala Taranga, Tava Shubha Name Jage, Tava Shubha Chamane, Gahe Tava Gana Gana Mangaladayaka Jai Bharat Bhagya Vidhata Jaya He Jaya He Jaya He Jaya 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 He.
Bharat
Thank
Mata
you.
ki Jai.
Thank you.
Jai Hind.
Thank you all. Namaskar.
Namaskar.
Congratulations, sir.
Great evening. Thank you.
Congratulations, Dr. Kotecha ji. It's extremely
Thank
good.
you, Kotecha ji.
Really
Thank
enjoyed
you,
it.
Movi Mohan.
Wonderful.
Thanks for this wonderful event. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you all.
Congratulations.
I would like to remember Dr. Raghavan. When I